Welcome back to another JOTO Show. I'm your host, Jay Lakers and Tony Poloni.
Hey everyone, this is episode 10, which means we've reached double digits on the
Woohoo!
episode.
Let's go!
We did it. We made it to 10 episodes. Let's get started
That is a lot of episodes, guys.
with our first thing. We have an announcement to make.
We are working on something big coming soon. More details coming soon. We don't know yet. I have you
Yep,
guys
so be
on the lookout.
exactly.
What's going on, sports world?
Well, as of yesterday for us, 2 days ago for you guys, the NFL trade deadline happened. So let's talk about some of these moves, and by some I mean literally every single move from the trade deadline day. Start off with these four. We're gonna treat this like the Sunday afternoon games. But let's start here. Lions traded for Zadarius Smith from the Browns. They also received a 2026 7th round pick. They sent the Browns a 2025 5th round pick and a 2026 6th round pick. The Bengals here traded for Khalil Herbert from the Bears. They sent over a 2025 7th rounder. Next, we have the Cowboys, who traded for Jonathan Mingo from the Panthers. They also received a 2025 7th round pick and sent the Panthers a 2025 4th round pick. And finally, on this page we got here, Mike Williams was sent to the Steelers for a 2025 5th round pick. On the flip side, we have three more here, including the Commanders, who traded for Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints. They also received a 2025 5th round pick, while handing the Saints a 2025 3rd, 4th, and 6th round pick. And then the Steelers made more moves, trading for Preston Smith from the Packers, who received a 2025 7th round pick. And finally, the Ravens traded for Tre'Davious White and a 2027 7th round pick from the Rams, who received a 2026 7th round pick.
Moving on. What's next? Prime time in our games.
Starting off with Thursday Night Football, you had the Jets hosting the Houston Texans, defeating them 21-13. Pretty good game. I was kind of watching this. It was actually kind of boring, to be honest. Had to turn it off eventually.
I was watching some of it too.
Yeah. Joe Mixon had a pretty good rushing game again, 106 yards. As for the quarterbacks here, CJ Stroud, 11 for 30, threw 191 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions either. As for Aaron Rodgers, he threw 3 touchdowns, 211 yards, 22 for 32. Next, we had Sunday Night Football, where the Vikings hosted the Colts, beating the Colts 21-13. Joe Flacco actually played this game earlier. I mentioned Anthony Richardson last week. Editor Tony fixed that. Appreciate that, Editor Tony. So yeah, pretty good game for the Vikes. Justin Jefferson, 137 receiving yards. He even had one completion. He threw a completion, that went 22 yards. So for him in total, he basically had 159 yards. Colts didn't really have much offense produced. Joe Flacco, 179 yards, 16 out of 27, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. While Sam Darnold threw 290 yards, 28 for 34, 3 touchdowns, and also 2 interceptions. Then we had a Monday Night Football thriller. We have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going over to the Kansas City Chiefs and dropping this game in overtime, 24-30. As I just mentioned, this was an overtime game, so it got really exciting.
I didn't see it.
Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt both had 100+ yards for their team. Kelce in the receiving category, Kareem Hunt in the rushing with 106 yards. He also had 11 yards on one catch. Pretty good game for them. Baker Mayfield couldn't really do much, obviously, without his two wide top receivers, but he still had 200 yards passing, 23 of 31, and 2 touchdowns thrown. As for Mahomes, 291 yards, 34 for 44, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions. So an actual good game for Mahomes.
Then we have Sunday Avenue game. Bengals beat Las Vegas Raiders 41-24. It was a good game. I was watching the whole game, then I was done to pick up my girlfriend from her work. I was watching the rest of the game out there. And the radio's head of my phone. I forget about that. Whatever happened there, then I can see afterwards. That's kind of awesome, actually, how that works. Like a couple
Yeah.
minutes afterwards.
Yeah. Pretty good game for the Bengals, I'd say. 120 rushing yards for Chase Brown.
And our biggest high score, too, I think.
Yeah, this has been your highest score from your own team.
Yeah, Bengals are high score.
Helpful when Chase Brown runs 120 yards and also catches it 5 times for 37 for a total of 157. Also helps when Mike Gesicki has 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. So that's pretty good. On the Raiders side, not so much. Gardner Minshew, 124 yards, 10 for 17, and a benching. Got benched for Desmond Ridder, who came out and had 74 yards, 11 for 16, and 1 touchdown. As for Joe Burrow, he had 251 yards, 27 and 39. He threw an interception, but he had 5 touchdowns thrown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not looking good for Vegas. Moving on.
Sunday Avenue games.
Starting off, we had the Carolina Panthers hosting the New Orleans Saints, winning 23-22. The Panthers took the lead on a go-ahead touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game. Didn't convert the 2-point conversion to make it a 3-point game, so they were forced to play some good defense, and good defense that they play, stopping the Saints with time expiring to win the game. Quick stat checks here. Derek Carr from the Saints, 236 yards, 18 of 31, and 1 touchdown. As for Bryce Young, 171 yards, 16 of 26, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. This mainly was Chuba Hubbard's game, scoring 2 rushing touchdowns, and also 72 yards rushing. This game got Coach Dennis Allen fired.
Jeez.
He
Wow.
was fired after this game and hired the former special teams coach, now interim head coach, Darren Rizzi, hoping that he helps the Saints maybe get a win. They haven't won since their first 2 wins. Moving on now, we had the Washington Commanders going over to New York, taking on the Giants, winning.
27-22.
Yep. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, looking at these stats, Jaden Daniels, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns thrown, 15 for 22. Those 2 touchdowns went to Terry McLaurin, Scary Terry himself, who had 19 yards total and 2 catches total, both resulting in touchdowns. As for Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, Danny Pennies, whatever you want to call him, he had 174 yards, 20 for 26, throwing 2 touchdowns. Moving on now, we had the Buffalo Bills hosting the Miami Dolphins, winning 30-27.
And listen, wasn't the cold weather right now too cold for the Dolphins?
It honestly feels like it is, though, because they cannot win a game right now. They continue to struggle. They're currently, 2-6 now? We'll talk more about that later. Looking at these stats, though, Tua, 231 yards, 25 of 28, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good game for him in terms of completions and all that. But it wasn't enough to take on Josh Allen, who had 235 yards, 25 of 39, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. The game came down to a game-winning field goal by Tyler Bass. He had 3 total this game, made all 3. And finally, to finish this page, we had the Los Angeles Chargers heading over to Cleveland, beating the Browns 27-10. Jameis Winston looked good for one game against the Ravens and now put up a little bit of a stinker, if you will. 235 yards, pretty nice. 26-46. 1 touchdown. Hey, you got one. But he threw 3 interceptions. That's a lot of interceptions. As for quarterback on the other side, Justin Herbert, 282 yards, 18 for 27, and 2 touchdowns.
Moving on.
Starting with on the second
Tennessee
page,
Titans, 20-17, and overtime. Finish in overtime. Go ahead, Tony Baloney.
yeah, basically what he said. For those that didn't understand him somehow, 20-17, Titans beat New England Patriots in overtime. Pretty good game for Mason Rudolph. 240 yards, 20 for 33, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. As for the guy on the other side, Drake May, he actually had a pretty good game too. Their leading rusher, despite being the quarterback, with 95 rushing yards. He also threw 206 yards, 29 for 41. He did throw 2 interceptions though, but a game-tying touchdown in the 4th with time expiring. He scores it. They tie it up. They eventually lose in overtime. But an effort by Drake May to make that throw and for Ramondre Stevenson to make that catch for the touchdown. Next game here, we had the Atlanta Falcons hosting the Dallas Cowboys, beating up the Cowboys 27-21. Dak Prescott did get injured in this game. He will be missing a few weeks, according to the Cowboys themselves saying that. He finished the game 133 yards, 18 for 24, and a touchdown thrown. As for his backup who came in, that was Cooper Rush. 115 yards, 13 for 25, and 1 touchdown thrown as well. Falcons and Kirk Cousins did a damn good job, I'll tell you what. He threw 222 yards, 19 of 24, and 3 touchdowns. Moving on here, we had the Baltimore Ravens hosting the Denver Broncos, beating them 41-10. High scoring game, same amount of points as the Bengals this week. This is a pretty good game for Cortland Sutton on the Broncos, 122 yards receiving. He even threw a pass for a touchdown that went 2 yards to Bo Nix, who caught it for the touchdown. Bo Nix being the quarterback, obviously. 223 yards as well for him. 19 of 33 and 1 interception. As for the Ravens, Derrick Henry, another 100-yard rushing game, 106 to be exact. 2 rushing touchdowns. He also had 27 yards on 1 catch for an extra 27 yards. Zay Flowers, 127 yards receiving with 2 touchdowns as well. Lamar Jackson, 280 yards passing, 16 for 19 and 3 touchdowns. And this final game here on the second page, we had the Arizona Cardinals hosting the Bears, winning 29-9. Caleb Williams, 217 yards, 22 for 41, no touchdowns, no interceptions. As for Kyler Murray, 154 yards, 13 of 20, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So how do they get 29? Their rush attack. Trey McBride, Trey Benson, and Amari Dermercado all had 1 rushing touchdown. Yes, Trey McBride, the tight end, got a rushing touchdown.
Moving on.
We have 3 more games here. Start with this first one shown. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars going against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles hosting them, winning 28-23, only by 5. Pretty good game for the Eagles, including running back Saquon Barkley. Want to hear these stats? He had 200. He basically had 200 total yards, 159 rushing, 40 receiving. He received a touchdown and ran for a touchdown. And editor Tony, you know what to do. Put up the photo. The man hurdled backwards over a guy to extend a run.
I need to watch
But
the
hurdling,
episode to see the picture looks like.
yeah. I don't know about you, but hurdling a man is already tough enough. Doing it while running backwards, or doing it backwards, mind you, insanity. So yeah, that's 2 touchdowns there. He also had a touchdown rushing from Jalen Hurts and a receiving touchdown from Devonta Smith. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, he had 230 yards, 18 for 24, and those 2 thrown touchdowns I mentioned. As for Trevor Lawrence, he had 2 rushing touchdowns. That's basically it for him, at least positive wise. 169 yards, 16 of 31, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. A little over 50% on the percentage. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, didn't give it to his guys. Top receiver was Evan Ingram with 45 yards only. Eagles win 28-23. Then we had another overtime thriller. This one being the Rams going over Seattle and taking on the Seahawks, winning 26-20 in overtime. Pretty damn good game, I'll tell you what. I was watching a little bit of this, and then I heard it got to overtime, so I started watching overtime. Really great game. Matthew Stafford threw 2 touchdowns, including the game-winning one in overtime. He also threw a pick, but he had 298 yards, 25 of 44. As for Geno Smith, 363 yards, 21 of 34. Pretty good. 3 touchdowns, nice. But he did also have 3 interceptions, including a costly one that obviously costed them the football game. He threw 2 of those touchdowns to Jackson Smith and Jigba, one of them to Tyler Lockett. While for the 2 touchdowns by Stafford, both were for Demarcus Robinson, who had a total of 94 yards at the end of the day. Cooper Kupp, leading receiver, 104 yards for the Rams. While Jackson Smith and Jigba, who had those 2 touchdowns, leading receiver for the Seahawks, 180. And for our final game here from this week, we had the Detroit Lions heading over to Green Bay, beating the Packers 24-14. Lions, amazing game for them. Despite Jared Goff not even surpassing 150 passing yards. He had 145, so it was kind of close. 18 for 22. He threw a touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown. As for the Packers, 273 yards coming in for Jordan Love. 23 of 39 and 1 interception. No touchdowns. This was a big running game, actually. Jen Reed had 113 receiving yards, but Josh Jacobs had 95 rushing yards. And for the Lions, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs, who are better known as Sonic and Knuckles, had 73 yards and 65 yards rushing. Moving on to our Week 9 NFL standings. These are the standings as of Week 9, heading into Week 10. Start with the NFC. In the East, Commanders are 72, while the Eagles are 6-2, right behind them. Then it's the Cowboys at 3-5, pretty far behind, and the Giants at 2-7. Then in the West, it's the Cardinals 5-4. It is a really close division, actually. Rams 4-4, 49ers tied with those guys at 4-4. Seahawks are 4-5. There's only a 1-game difference between first and last. The same cannot be said for the NFC North, where the Lions only have one loss. They're 7-1. Vikings 6-2, Packers 6-3, Bears are 4-4. And to finish off the NFCs, the Falcons are 6-3, while the Bucks are 4-5, and the Panthers and Saints are tied at 2-7. But the Saints recently just lost to the Panthers, so the Panthers technically are third place. In the AFC, in the East, Bills are 7-2. Closest team to them, 3-6, and that's the Jets. Then it's the Dolphins at 2-6, and the Patriots at 2-7. In the West, Chiefs are still undefeated at 8-0. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
While the Chargers are behind at 5-3, Broncos are 5-4, and the Raiders are 2-7. In the AFC North, Steelers are 6-2. They just had their bye, while the Ravens are 6-3, so they're right behind them by half a game. Bengals are 4-5, and Browns are 2-7. And to finish off, in the AFC South, Texans are 6-3, while the Colts are 4-5, Titans are 2-6, and the Jags are 2-7. Yeesh. It's our NCAA football Week 10 recap. We have our ranked team games here. Let's start off with Oregon, ranked number 1. They beat Michigan 38-17. Then we had Georgia, ranked at 2, hosting the Florida Gators, beating them 34-20. Then we had a ranked matchup between two ranked teams, 3-4. Penn State hosting Ohio State, actually losing this one, 20-13. Ohio State Buckeyes win this one. Then Miami, ranked at 5, hosted Duke, winning 53-31. Ranked 7, Tennessee, hosted Kentucky, winning 28-18 over the Wildcats. And to finish this first page, Texas A&M took on South Carolina and actually lost 44-20 to the unranked team. Then you had the Clemson Tigers, ranked at 11, hosting Louisville and actually losing this one 33-21. Following that, you had Iowa State, ranked at 11, as well as Clemson. They were tied in votes last week, taking on the Texas Tech Red Raiders, losing this one 23-22. Then, ranked number 13, Indiana went over to Michigan State, winning 47-10. Following that, Boise State, ranked at number 15, hosted San Diego State, winning 56-24. Following that, you had Kansas State taking on Houston, losing this one 24-19. And finally, for this page, you had two ranked teams go against each other. They were Pitt and SMU. SMU at 20, Pitt at 18. The lower ranked actually wins this one 48-25. 3 more games here, starting with Ole Miss, who visited Arkansas and beat the Razorbacks 63-31. Then you had Army, ranked at 21, take on Air Force, beating those Falcons 20-3. And finally, for our ranked matchups this past week, you had Illinois, ranked at 24, take on Minnesota and losing this game 25-17. Now we have our other notes here, starting with our highest total involving overtime, which was Virginia Tech at Syracuse. This game was a 7-point game, but adds up to a total of 69 points. Then you had our biggest differential, which was Oklahoma hosting Maine, winning 59-14, a difference of 45 points. And then our highest total was actually a tie. This is highest total without overtime, which is 94. We had a ranked team, as mentioned before, Ole Miss, who beat Arkansas, and Wyoming, who beat New Mexico in a closer game. As for our Week 10 top 25 buys, there was 8 teams that took a bye. Texas Longhorns, Notre Dame Fighting Irish, BYU Cougars, Alabama Crimson Tide, LSU Tigers, Washington State Cougars, Colorado Buffaloes, and Missouri Tigers. Now it's our AP top 25 for heading into Week 11. Not many changes near the top. Main thing is that Penn State has moved down to 6 after being 3. Ohio State takes over. Miami moves up another spot to 4, was at 5. Same goes for Texas, who was at 6. Now they move up to 5. Penn State, as mentioned, was at 3. Now they're at 6. Tennessee stays where they are at 7. Indiana moves all the way up from 13 to 8. That's a 5 rank increase. BYU stays at 9. Notre Dame falls to 10 after being 8th. Alabama moves up 3 after being 14th. They go up to 11. Boise State also moves up 3 after being 15th. SMU moves up 7 after being at 20. They move up 7 for beating Pitt. We'll get to them in a second, or actually later. LSU moves up 2 spots to 14. Texas A&M moves down 5 spots to 15. Ole Miss moves up a couple, actually up 3 to 16. Iowa State moves down 6 spots to 17. Army moves up 3 spots to 18. Clemson moves down 7 spots to 19. Washington State moves up 2 spots to 20. Colorado also moves up a couple to 21 after being 23. Kansas State and Pitt both moved down 5 spots, respectively. 22 and 23. Both were at 17 and 18. And our first new guy here, Vanderbilt, at 24. They beat Auburn 17-7 to move up to 24. And to round it off, Louisville, who beat Clemson 33-21, as we mentioned earlier. As for the 2 teams that got out because of new teams getting in, they were Illinois and Missouri. Both were 24 and 25 heading into this week. But Illinois losing to Minnesota and Missouri had a bye, but they honestly should have been out last week. But now it's the first rendition of the college football playoff rankings. How it would work this time around will be the top 12 teams in this ranking that make it to the playoffs.
So
These top
14.
25.
Used to be 4 teams. Now they made it to 12 now.
Yeah. So if you see your team in the top 25, they still got a good shot. If you see your team in the top 12, if it were to end today, they would be in the playoffs.
Yeah, it would be number 1 and then number 12.
Yeah. So let's look at these top 12 actually, because these would be the teams that would make it. Starting off, Oregon at 1. They stay at 1 from the actual AP top 25. Ohio State is 2.
For
Georgia at 3.
now, let's see what happens. We don't know yet.
Yeah,
If
for now.
Oregon can keep it or not, or Georgia can come back, take number 1 again, or Texas.
Miami at 4. Texas at 5. Penn State at 6. Tennessee at 7. Indiana at 8, BYU 9, Notre Dame 10, Alabama 11, and Boise State at 12. While SMU, Texas A&M, and LSU round off your top 15. Men's college basketball. We had our games happen. We don't have any rankings yet. I would mention the ranked teams, but not all of them have played yet. We will mention them next week and have
Yep.
our next week's rankings.
Yes,
So that'll
sir,
be next
fellas.
episode. Be on the lookout. More college basketball will be mentioned from week on,
Yep.
week after week. Let's start with men's college basketball with our teams.
The Cincinnati
Yeah.
Bearcats taking on. I don't know what that team's called.
Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions.
The Bearcats won 109-54. I didn't watch this game because it was on ESPN Plus. I don't have ESPN Plus. I'm trying to get ESPN Plus. I'm glad we won. I don't think I had to watch this game because we won. Big.
Yeah. He won big. Damn.
Yeah.
That's probably why you guys are ranked at 20.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're ranked 20.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty good game for you guys. Can't say the same for San Jose. The
Oh, you guys
Spartans.
lost.
We
That
lost
was
by
a low
4.
score. Wow. Not a high score.
Yeah. Our basketball team ain't that good. At least
Our
the men's
basketball
side.
team, our basketball and football is good for the
Which is
Bearcats.
good to hear for you guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
both
forgot to
good.
mention this, by the way. Both our teams, why we didn't mention them for football, they both had a bye week. But yeah, San Jose State lost 59-55 against Western Illinois. That's on the men's side. Now we do a flip over to the women's side, where the Cincinnati Bearcats went over to UIC, taking on the Flames, winning 66-54. As for San Jose State, on the women's side, they actually won this game. They beat Xavier Musketeers 55-36. All right, it's time for some Premier League. It's time for the update. It's been match week 10, 10 weeks of matches. More than that, obviously, because they've taken breaks. So it's been going on for more than 10 weeks, probably like 3 months total. But that's besides the point. Let's get it started with our top 10. We'll move on to the full list in a second. Starting off, Liverpool is 8-1-1. Man City at 7-2-1. Nottingham Forest is at third with 5-4-1. Chelsea, Arsenal, and Aston Villa are tied at 5-3-2. Tottenham is at 5-1-4. Brighton 4-4-2. Fulham and Bournemouth tied 4-3-3. Then in our bottom half, Newcastle also is 4-3-3, but tiebreakers, goal difference, all that stuff puts them at 11th. Brentford is 4-1-5. Man United is 3-3-4. West Ham is 3-2-5. Leicester City 2-4-4. Everton 2-3-5. Crystal Palace 1-4-5. Ipswich Town no wins but 5 draws and 5 losses. Southampton 1-1-8, and Wolves 0-3-7.
Jeez.
Haven't gotten a single win. But now it's time for my favorite part, at least. Maybe some of your guys's. I know a lot of you are tracking it now because we did start that poll of who would win.
So far,
So
the
let's take
poll
a look.
ended, and it was a tie.
The
75,
poll ended. More people thought of a tie. We had a couple other votes here and
25%
there,
for Tony, and 0% Cheerlickers.
which I find very disrespectful, you guys. Come on, guys. Got to get more votes in.
Paul
But
will do another poll.
let's start probably another poll eventually. Maybe like a weekly one. Who would win the week and who will obviously win the whole thing.
And we can put a poll on on YouTube too. There's a way.
Yeah. For sure. I think that would be better because more people will see the YouTube than be on the Discord.
Yeah.
But let's
Move on.
see the current. Let's see actually how we did this
I
week. I
already
had a
know. I
better
already
week.
saw it.
by 3 games only, but still 3 games better.
I'm 8 and
How about
7. Tony's 11-4.
and for totals?
Tony has a couple wins ahead of me. I don't know how many. 8.
Yeah, 8 wins ahead. I'm at 89 and 49. He's at 81-57.
Wow. Yeah,
Woo.
2 in a row now. Tony took the win and have the we again.
Mm-hmm.
Moving
But
on,
now we have to
we
talk
have
about our buys for this next week. We had 4 teams taking a bye. 2 of them are 2 and 7. That's the Cleveland Browns and the Vegas Raiders. 1 team is 6 and 3. That's the Green Bay Packers, and 4 and 5 over there. That's the Seattle Seahawks. Raiders and Browns, I think, need this bye. Obviously, lower records. They need to rejuvenate and figure out what's going on. Green Bay Packers, I believe, lost last game. Yes, they did. They lost the line, so a bye doesn't hurt them too much. They get to readjust and know, hey, we just lost. Let's think about this. Same goes for the Seattle Seahawks, who just lost in overtime this past Sunday to the Rams. So all 4 of these teams, in my opinion, all needed this bye. Obviously, more than others. But yeah,
Week 10 Thursday night football. Here's the standings for the Ravens and Bengals. They've been playing 58 times total, and the Ravens have the week series 31 wins and 27 losses. They lost already this year in overtime by a missed field goal. If you guys didn't see that episode, go to episode, I don't know what episode that was.
a few weeks ago.
Yeah, a couple of episodes ago. Check that out. Bengals taking on Ravens.
Yeah, this is between Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. Their 7th meeting all time. Obviously, we know Bengals recently traded for Khalil Herbert at running back, and the Ravens recently traded for Tre'Davious White from the Rams.
And we do have insurance for Thursday night. That'll be coming up after this.
After this, as in right now. Start with Cincinnati here. Eric All, torn ACL. He's going to be out this week. Same with Zach Moss. He's going to be out this week with a neck injury. Both these guys were placed on IR. Zach reportedly is probably out for the season. Same goes for Eric All with that torn ACL, which is another reason why they got Khalil Herbert, because Zach Moss is out for the season. T. Higgins is doubtful this game. He has a quadricep injury, but there is a slight chance he could play. Orlando Brown Jr., who suffered a knee fibula injury, questionable. Same goes for BJ Hill, who has a rib injury. He's also questionable to play this game. In Baltimore, Isaiah Likely, he's got a hamstring injury. He's out for this game. Brent Urban, concussion. He's also out. Jalen Armour Davis has a knee injury. He's doubtful for this game. Kean Mitchell, he's been out with a knee injury since the beginning of the season and since last season, actually. He's questionable return for his season debut for Baltimore. Rasheen Ali has an ankle injury, and he's also questionable. Then moving on to our Germany game. We're going international again here. It's the New York Giants at 2 and 7, taking on the Carolina Panthers at 2 and 7. Both teams could get their 3rd win here, but one will have to get it, and the
Yeah.
other will have to take their 8th loss of the season. Panthers, as we know, recently beat the Saints last week. Giants, they can't catch a break. They keep losing. But Daniel Jones versus Bryce Young, their first meeting all time. But looking into their history, Panthers have the advantage. They're 7 and 6 against the Giants. So a Giants win will even it up. Panthers win will make it 8 and 6. But we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna be watching it. I'll be seeping in because Bengals don't play Sunday afternoon, Thursday night.
Then to start off your Sunday afternoon, if you don't make it to the Sunday morning game, you have Sunday afternoon with the San Francisco 49ers at 4-4 going over to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers, who are 4-5. Brock Purdy versus Baker Mayfield, their second meeting all time, actually. If I look at the Niners record here, I had it here. The Niners have the better record right now, currently 20-6 against the Buccaneers all time. I remember one of them actually being Brock Purdy versus Tom Brady in Brock Purdy's first career start. Actually, I remember that. Hopefully, Niners can get this win because they can. The division's really close. NFC West is really close, as we mentioned earlier.
They had bye last week. The Niners
Yeah.
did.
So hopefully they're rejuvenated. Christian McCaffrey is actually back to practicing, so we might actually see him this season. That'd be nice. But again, we'll see. Then we have Sunday Night Football, where the 7-1 Detroit Lions are heading over to Houston to take on the 6-3 Texans. First meeting all time between Jared Goff and CJ Stroud. Didn't play against each other last year. CJ Stroud, obviously being a rookie last year, if he didn't play last year, it's going to be the first time this year. But when we look at history, Lions aren't doing too well against the Texans. They're 4-1, the Texans are, against the Lions. Only losing once against the Lions, the Texans.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll see. Will it be 5-1 or will it be 4-2?
We'll see.
Talk more about that later.
I might watch that.
And then to finish off, we have Monday Night Football, where the Miami Dolphins are heading over to LA to take on the Rams. Miami, 2-6, trying to end this losing streak that they've been facing for a minute, while the Rams are 4-4, currently on a 3-game winning streak. They were once 1-4, now they're 4-4. This is going to be Tua Tagovailoa versus Matthew Stafford, which surprisingly, despite both of them being in the league for a good amount of time, this is their first meeting. I believe Tua has played the Rams before, but that was when Jared Goff was QB, and Tua definitely played the Lions, but that was already when Matthew Stafford was traded to LA. If we go back in history, but go back in time, look at this record. Dolphins have the advantage at 12-2 over the Rams. Probably those Dan Marino days. Maybe a little bit later. Who knows? And moving on to our Week 10 picks. Let's take a look here.
Thursday night, I got the Bengals, the Giants, Chicago, Buffalo, Denver, Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Vikings, Chargers, Philadelphia, Arizona, Houston, and Miami.
The turns my table here because I counted, we have like 7 different picks here, so who knows?
You're against the Bengals
Let's
this
start with
time.
Thursday night. Yeah, I'm going against the Bengals this time. I like the Baltimore Ravens here. They're doing pretty good on this. They're going on a good run. They
Ravens
just
are
beat
not that bad. I'm
the
not a big fan of Kansas City Chiefs.
yeah. Baltimore, obviously we know, scored 41 against the Broncos, but Cincinnati, as we know, also scored 41 against the Raiders.
Yeah.
So this could be a shootout just like last time. But I got Baltimore this Thursday. I actually surprisingly have Carolina to win this game. This is my first time, I believe, maybe my second time ever going for Carolina to win a game this season.
We both got Chicago.
We both got Chicago over New England.
And Bills too.
We both got the Bills. I actually got Kansas City. As much as I hate them, I'd rather be realistic and say it. I feel like they can win. Denver's defense is really good, though. So I could see them actually maybe pulling off the upset. Atlanta, we both got them. I actually got San Francisco because, the Niner fan here. I got to go with my team.
Yeah.
I got Washington over Pittsburgh, though.
Hey, he's my team. I'm against his team.
Yep. Unless I believe that they can just win it. Then I'll be realistic. But I got Washington over Pittsburgh. That one actually could go either way. So I wouldn't be surprised who wins that. Both got Minnesota, both got the Chargers, both got the Eagles, both got Arizona. I actually got Detroit over Houston. Houston's offense hasn't been looking the greatest this season.
Mm.
So we'll see how they perform against a 7-1 Detroit Lions team that's on a hot streak. And for Monday night, I actually got the Rams winning this game against the Dolphins. And with that, thanks for watching, y'all. This has been a great episode 10. Again, we'll inform you guys later on about that big announcement that we just had. Obviously, we have bigger things set to
Hmm.
come. Who knows?
Not
Maybe
just
we
on.
might bring.
It's not on here or on the show or different videos we're talking
Yeah,
about.
yep. Who
Either
knows?
way.
Who knows
Yeah,
where it'll
who
be?
knows?
Who knows what it'll be? Maybe it's a different format. Maybe it's a live stream. Maybe we have a special guest. I don't know. I'm still working on it, so I actually don't know. Not me trying to joke around and say I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
I've been working on a video. It's coming soon. That's not the big projects. This is something different. It might be the big
Well,
projects. Maybe, I don't
who
know. We'll
knows?
see.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? I have been working on something. It's coming soon. I can't tell you that's what it is when it comes.
Can't inform y'all at all.
Nope.
Very secret.
He knows what it
But
is.
yeah.
What
Oh,
I'm
I know
working
what it
on.
is because I'm half of the JOTO show. He's the other half.
He knows what I'm
But
working
yeah,
on. I'll
yeah, I know
the,
where.
the feel the one I'm working on. I'll do myself also.
Yep,
The first video I do of myself on here.
I know.
You have anything else to say before I?
Before you hit him with the outro, yeah, I got you. You know the drill. Editor Tony, toss him that music right now. Fade it in, whatever you want to do. Editor J Lakers, hit him with nice
Lakers.
bloopers coming from.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
Editors. Go ahead.
Editor J Lakers. Editor J Lakers, hit him with some nice bloopers tomorrow as of the time this video comes out, which would be the Thursday. So yes, tomorrow we'll see some more bloopers. 2 days from now for us as of the time recording. As for regular J Lakers by my side right now, hit him with the outro.
Thank you about the saying about the bloopers. Yes, the bloopers comes out every Friday, guys. Look out every Friday. They're on premiere every Friday and everything else. Don't forget to subscribe, like, put a notification on this channel, and follow us on social media X and Instagram. Follow me on X, Instagram, and TikTok. And subscribe to all three of my channels. Will be in the description. Subscribe to history channels. Will be in the description. And join our Discord, the JOTO Show. And if I forget anything, everything will be in the description. And we'll put the link of the playlist of the bloopers in the description too. Check the bloopers out. I've been working so hard on them. I'll see you guys on the other time. Bye. Dang, Dano.